Good Tuesday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's weather forecast, all eyes are on a tornado outbreak possible today and on Wednesday across the eastern United States. We'll go into those details. And then a major April blizzard with up to 2 feet of snow and whiteout conditions likely across the northern plains and upper Midwest. And then we'll look ahead to your Easter weekend forecast with the temperature and the precipitation trends later on in this video. If you guys are not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on all of my daily weather forecast updates each and every morning at 9 a.m. Central Daylight Time on this channel. I cover southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics during tropical weather season, so definitely be sure to hit the subscribe button. And also don't forget, it's very important to press the like button, the thumbs up button down below the video. It helps to get this video out to as many people as possible here across the platform, so I definitely appreciate it. So I definitely appreciate all the new subscribers and the likes out there. But now getting into the weather forecast, we have a serious situation possibly unfolding later today. We have two moderate risks for severe weather, one up here across eastern Iowa, western and northwest Illinois, and extreme northeastern Missouri. And the second moderate risk here in red is across southern Missouri, northwest Arkansas, and extreme southeastern Oklahoma. Surrounding that, we have the orange. That's an enhanced risk across much of the Midwest, all the way down here into the Arklatex. Then a slight risk here in the yellow, and then the dark green, that is a level 1 of 5, a marginal risk, and that actually reaches up into northern Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan, and the lower Michigan Peninsula as well as we go through today. So looking at your individual hazards, what could these storms bring to the table? Well, we have a 15 to 30% risk of some damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour here, and the highest chance of that in the red outline here across western parts of Illinois, southern Wisconsin, into eastern Iowa, much of Missouri, getting down into northwestern Arkansas. But anywhere outside of that still could be seeing some damaging winds up to 60, 70 miles per hour in the green or yellow shaded area. But we also have a significant 15 to 30% hatched area for hail. This includes portions of southern Wisconsin, much of north central Illinois, central and eastern Iowa, most of the state of Missouri, eastern portions of Kansas, including the Kansas City region, getting in toward northwestern Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, and all the way down toward the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex today. Those areas, we could be seeing 2 inches or greater diameter hailstones. That is greater than golf ball size. Definitely want to be on high alert for that. And the tornado potential could be pretty big today as well. We have the 10 to 15% shading here at hatched risks for tornadoes. That means that EF2 or greater damage with these tornadoes will be possible today here across eastern Iowa, northwestern and western Illinois, far southwest Wisconsin, getting into northeastern Missouri, and then a secondary area from the St. Louis area into southern portions of Missouri, northwestern and central Arkansas, unfortunately encompassing the Little Rock area again, Fort Smith up toward the Fayetteville region, and then getting down into northeast Texas toward the Texarkana region as we go through the day today. But again, anywhere outside this area, we could be seeing tornadoes in the green or brown shaded area. So definitely want to be on high alert if you live in Chicago, Indianapolis, down here toward Carbondale, Illinois, Memphis, or even as far south as the Shreveport area as we go through today. So looking at the setup, the synoptic setup, and why we're seeing the severe weather, well, we have a warm front surging north here very slowly today, and south of that boundary, we're going to have temperatures into the 70s, if not the middle 80s across a large chunk of the southern and southeastern United States, and a deep reservoir of moisture from the Gulf of Mexico lifting all the way north into southern Wisconsin there and northern Illinois, eastern Iowa. Dew points will be in the 50s and 60s all the way up into those areas this afternoon, and that is going to contribute to a very large reservoir of instability, or what we call CAPE, convective available potential energy. And you see anywhere in the yellow, oranges, or reds here, that's where we're talking 2,000 to as much as locally 3,000 joules per kilogram instability all the way up into Iowa, portions of Wisconsin, northern Illinois, getting through Missouri here, all the way southward towards portions of East Texas throughout the day today and even into this evening. And not to mention, we do have a strong mid-level jet rounding the base of that long wave trough across the west coast. So we definitely are seeing some kinematics coming together as well. And the low-level jet will be screaming out of the south-southwest, especially as we get into this evening, into the overnight hours. And that's when most of our storms will be popping up here through today. But there is a caveat to this. We have a capping inversion, a surface-based cap that we have to watch here through much of the day today. And what a capping inversion is simply just a shallow layer of warm air aloft as you go just a few thousand feet above the surface. And that prevents a lot of clouds and a lot of taller clouds that produce thunderstorms. And that looks to be in place across most of Illinois, especially up near that warm front across the Midwest, and even some capping inversion down across much of the deep south as well. So we'll be watching that here. So here's what we do know and what we don't know. So we do have a high amount of energy. Instability could be up to as high as 3,500 joules per kilogram. We have a high amount of wind shear today, especially with the strong low-level jet this evening into the overnight hours, and then that strong mid-level jet throughout the entirety of the day. And we have a moderate amount of moisture. Dew points will mainly be into the 60s across a large chunk of the warm sector of the storm. But here's what we don't know. We don't know if the cap will break during the day. And again, the cap is just a shallow warm layer aloft that prevents thunderstorms from developing. Again, you don't have that cap, you definitely will have some thunderstorms. But if you do have the cap, it's going to be very hard for thunderstorms to form. And another question we have, it's a $1 million question. How early do storms develop? Are they developing this morning, this afternoon, this evening, or even into the overnight hours, or all of these times? We'll definitely have to see which questions do get answered with this going through the day today. But looking here at the latest observational trends and kind of the latest weather models, this is noon time frame. That warm front is going to be lifting out of central Wisconsin and portions of southern Iowa slowly to the north. We're going to have some elevated showers and thunderstorms early this afternoon across portions of northeast Iowa, northwest Illinois, into southwest Wisconsin. Those could be producing some smaller hail as they push farther to the north. Mid-afternoon, we're still not seeing much happening because we have that capping inversion in place across the Midwest all the way southward toward the Arklatex. And then as we go toward early evening, so toward your dinner time frame, 6, 7, 8 o'clock this evening, boom, we have some very big thunderstorm development possible across portions of Iowa here, getting into southern Wisconsin, and right along that warm front there in northern Illinois. We'll definitely have to watch for some supercell thunderstorms. Those could be the ones, if they get rooted on the surface warm front, we definitely have to be concerned about a tornado risk, especially a violent tornado possible, and then some damaging winds and large hail. These could be very big hail producers as they cross over that warm front, especially getting up here into northern Illinois, northeast Iowa, and southern Wisconsin. Farther south by early this evening, we're still kind of waiting, maybe a couple supercells developing, same type of thing down here. If they develop, they could be producing some strong and violent tornadoes, some very large hail, and even some damaging microburst type winds. But as we go into late evening, this is when that cold front starts to outrun the dry line across portions of the central plains, and that's when we'll start to see a squall line develop. And ahead of that, we still could be seeing some supercells. This is the midnight time frame, so after a lot of us are going to bed, we have to be concerned about severe weather, and then that intense squall line will be surging to the east. So St. Louis, down here towards Cape Girardeau, Missouri, the Fayetteville region, getting down toward Fort Smith, Little Rock, getting up toward Jonesboro, down towards Texarkana, east of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. This is going into 6 a.m. on Wednesday for your Wednesday morning commute. We could be seeing some widespread damaging winds, potentially some large hail, and even some spin-up tornadoes along the leading edge of this squall line. But going into Wednesday, a continuation of severe weather on Wednesday from even tonight's risk. We have an enhanced risk upgrade across most of the Ohio Valley and the southern Great Lakes here, from Michigan down through Chicago, Indianapolis, the entire state of Indiana there, eastern Illinois, Ohio, Kentucky, getting down into middle and western Tennessee, extreme southeastern portions of Missouri, into extreme northeastern Arkansas, and that slight risk goes all the way down into northern Louisiana and portions of East Texas on Wednesday. And the same risks are at play. We got winds that could be up to 70 miles per hour, especially in this red outlined area across the Ohio River Valley. Also some damaging hail up here across the lower peninsula there of Michigan, getting down into places like Chicago there, Champaign-Urbana, Illinois, getting into north central Indiana, and then up there toward the Toledo, Ohio area. Have to be watching out for those golf ball size hailstones or larger, and also a potential for strong tornadoes. We have a 10% hatched area for tornadoes across the Detroit area, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Lansing, Michigan, getting down through Chicago there, Champaign-Urbana, Fort Wayne, getting back into the South Bend, Gary, Indiana areas, Indianapolis, Toledo. All you guys could be seeing some strong tornado potential through the day on Wednesday. But in general, the tornado risk extends farther south, so that the Music City down here in Nashville, Memphis, the Memphis area, getting into Little Rock, again, the Shreveport area, and even Jackson, Mississippi here at the far southern side of this system on Wednesday. And again, going through the mid-morning hours, we got a broken line or a squall line of storms moving through with some embedded supercells, some spin-up tornadoes, some widespread damaging winds, and potentially even some large hail as well as these storms propagate slowly to the east, especially the northernmost extent here up near the low pressure system. We're going to have the stronger low-level shear and mid-level shear, and that's where we could have some stronger tornadoes through the height of Wednesday afternoon. So definitely be on alert there. And into mid-evening on Wednesday, we still could be seeing at least some widely scattered severe weather here from western New York State, western Pennsylvania, all the way southward into the Tennessee Valley and the Gulf states here down here into Mississippi and Alabama. That continues through Thursday morning. Again, maybe some stronger storms entering into the Houston area, Beaumont up here towards Shreveport, the Monroe, Louisiana area, and then into portions of Tupelo, Mississippi, up through Nashville, and maybe even Lexington, Kentucky as we get through Thursday morning. These storms will be dropping some very heavy rainfall, so they will be very efficient rainfall producers. We have the dew points in place for that. Dew points will be in the 60s, so these storms will have no problem in producing some heavy rain. So wherever you see the pinks and purples here, there will be swaths of about 1 to 3 inches of rain, especially if we can see storms moving over the same areas, and that heightens the concern for some flash flooding. We got a marginal risk up here across portions of the western Great Lakes from northern lower Michigan through Wisconsin, northern Illinois into eastern Iowa, and then a secondary marginal risk for flash flooding here across southern Illinois, the lower Missouri Valley and southern Missouri here, much of Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, into northeast Texas here toward the Dallas-Fort Worth area through your Wednesday morning, and then a much more defined area of flash flooding potential as that cold front slows down and the storms move parallel to that through the day on Wednesday into Thursday morning, with a slight risk from portions of the Ohio River Valley near the Louisville region all the way south through Nashville, Jackson, Mississippi, and then getting toward the Houston area with that slight risk for flash flooding during the middle of the week. This will be, however, again, through the week, all the way through Sunday. This is going through Easter weekend. This is how much rainfall you can expect down here. Some very heavy amounts across coastal Texas, getting up through northern and central Louisiana, getting into northern and central Mississippi, and on up into middle Tennessee. We could be seeing widespread 2 to as much as 5 inches of rain, with the heaviest amounts across eastern and southeast Texas here near the Houston area and the Beaumont, Texas region going over through this Easter weekend. And looking to the north, we got the cold side of the system. We got widespread blizzard warnings here in April, yes, across the Dakotas into northwestern Minnesota here and back into eastern portions of Wyoming. We got winter storm warnings surrounding that in the pinks, and in the purples, those are winter weather advisories as well, just outside of the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. And looking through the day today, these are your high temperatures. We'll be in the upper teens to middle 20s out here, so definitely a wet snow at times. And then as we cool down tonight, we'll see more of a fluffy snow take over as temperatures drop into the upper teens to the upper teens here, and even some single digits out there as well across North and South Dakota back into eastern Wyoming. And then as we go into Wednesday, again, we'll take over with the wetter snowflakes as we warm up into the middle and even upper 20s in some of these areas across, say, like the Rapid City area, getting up into Bismarck, Fargo. A lot of these areas will be warming up through the day on Wednesday. So taking you through the snowstorm side of the system, we're going to have the snow again flying around by the noontime frame. We got 1 to perhaps 2 inches per hour snow rates across portions of South Dakota, southern North Dakota here, more of a mixture of rain and snow across the southeast side of South Dakota, getting into southwestern Minnesota by noon. That snow line will be pushing even farther to the north, so we got more of a sleet and a freezing rain mix mix here across portions of north central Minnesota, getting into the eastern Dakotas with more of the wet snowflakes farther west from there toward the Bismarck area, getting down toward Rapid City. That continues through Wednesday morning commute as that snow slowly lifts up there into Manitoba and western Ontario and lifts out of the eastern Dakotas and then on up into northwestern Minnesota. That continues with the back edge of some of the storm system with some flurries out there going through that Wednesday evening time frame. So here's the total snowfall accumulation from now through Thursday morning. Definitely a very big swath of over a foot of snow, and as we zoom it in here, we got a lot of areas in these maroon or pinks here. We definitely are seeing 12 to as much as 18 inches or more in some spots, up to 20 inches possible of snowfall going through the next 24 to 48 hours up here. So definitely a plowable snow for many. So you're going to need the shovels and the snow blowers across northern Minnesota, the Dakotas, and back into eastern Wyoming and even parts of northwestern Nebraska going through late this week. And then the other factor with this is the winds. So this afternoon, winds will be relatively light out of the north. They still will be pretty light here again through this evening out of the north. Not too big of a deal, but it's really Wednesday. So Wednesday morning, we're going to start to turn these winds more out of the north-northwest. And they're going to be screaming out of the southern Canadian provinces into the Dakotas here, anywhere from 15 to 25 miles per hour sustained in the morning hours. And then during the afternoon and early evening on Wednesday, tomorrow, we could be seeing winds screaming out of the northwest as the system exits as a 987 millibar low up here near Lake Superior. We're going to be seeing those winds moving in sustained at 20 to 30 miles per hour with some higher wind gusts. We could be mixing down some of these low-level winds in the 850 millibar layer down to around 40-50 miles per hour. So definitely could be seeing some strong wind gusts blowing all the snow around, and that's why we have those blizzard warnings going through that Wednesday and Thursday time frame. But finally, by Wednesday evening and especially the overnight hours going into Thursday morning, we're going to calm these winds down under 10 miles per hour across much of the northern plains and the upper Midwest, with the exception of the Rochester area over here into western Wisconsin, but they don't see much snow in those areas, so that is some good news. But looking at the overall travel impacts with the whiteout conditions, definitely can bet some major to extreme travel impacts from northwestern Minnesota through the Dakotas back into eastern Wyoming. So that will go all the way through that Thursday, April 6th time frame. So if you have to travel up here, definitely take it slow and be very cautious. And if at all possible, I highly recommend you to deter travel until later on Thursday, as the plow crews can get and clean the roads out here. So definitely some good news there. But as we go through this Easter weekend, this is your Easter weekend forecast. The middle of the country, after that storm passes, we're going to have a high pressure system work in, maybe some rain up here into the Pacific Northwest. That shouldn't be that big of a deal. We got that stalled out boundary down here into the Gulf Coast and the southeastern states, maybe bringing some rain on Saturday. Here's your high temperatures for Easter weekend starting on Saturday, April 8th. You can definitely see widespread 60s and 70s across the middle of the country. So definitely a pleasant Saturday ahead this weekend. And then Easter Sunday, look at all the high pressure here and the absence of color on the map. That means we're going to have a very quiet Easter itself on April 9th here this Sunday, with the exception of a few areas into the Carolinas, Georgia, southeastern Alabama, and parts of Florida here, where we could see some afternoon showers and storms, but those will only be around for a couple of hours. I think there will be plenty of dry hours across those areas, so very, very pleasant going into this weekend. And again, Sunday, Easter Sunday, back into the 70s and 80s across most of the middle of the country. And it looks like the long range pattern as we get into next week, all the way through April 13th, we're going to have a ridge start to build across the western two-thirds of the country, and that will start to push slowly east as we get toward the middle of April through April 17th. So we're going to see some spring-like temperatures. Areas that haven't seen a lot of spring-like warmth, even up here into the northern plains and upper Midwest, we're going to start to warm up a little bit towards the middle of April and start melting off some of the snow. And you can see by looking at the GEFS ensemble guidance going through the mid-levels of the atmosphere, you see how we have a trough up here across the northeastern Pacific. That will make for a ridge across the middle of the country as we have that trough back to the west, and that will mean more warm temperatures across the middle of the country through that next work week time frame through Monday, April 10th. And you can see some of these temperatures. Now again, this is ensemble guidance, so this is just an average of some of the models out there, but definitely seeing some warm 70s and 80s out here on that Monday, April 10th, and then continue continuing through the end of that week, going through Thursday, April 13th, we have that ridge slowly pushing east and maybe some unsettled weather returning to the Pacific Northwest with more of some troughs moving in up here and some cooler weather, but that ridge will continue to slide off towards the east. And that, again, this is a model average, but we could be seeing some 60s and 70s very well across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, down across the southern central plains and the southeastern states through the end of the following week, getting in toward the middle of April. But there is a little bit of concern moving forward as we get past that time frame into the last week or so of April, as we get towards the last leg of April here. There's going to be another pattern change during that April 17th through 24th timeframe. As that ridge continues to push east, we're going to have more troughs starting to dig in across the West Coast. And if this pattern looks familiar, it does, because we have another active period setting up across the Midwest, portions of the Missouri Valley, and the Arklatex again. And that could promote some more severe weather outbreaks as we get towards the end of April and possibly in toward the last week in April beyond the 24th as well. So this will be something I'll be keeping an eye on over the next week or so to fine tune this, and definitely be seeing an active pattern by then. So enjoy the nice quiet weather while we have it, and the nice Easter weekend forecast here. Get outside and do some activities and stuff like that. Go for a run, go for a walk. Definitely enjoy the nice weather, because the active weather will be coming back in short order. So thank you guys, everybody, for watching. Definitely appreciate it. Remember to like the video down below, give it a thumbs up, leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great Tuesday, everybody, a great rest of your week, and I will see you all in the next video.